And a 1, 2, 3, 4 fingers. Hi guys, and welcome back to La Lucha is Real podcast. I'm your host, Angel.
And I am Edith.
And yes, we're wearing the same outfits.
Don't fucking say shit.
So we're actually recording back to back with our last episode. You want to tell them why, Edith?
It's because I probably am like... Am I going to be on vacation by this time? No, not yet, right? No. But I'm going actually to vacation. You guys will know if you follow me on Instagram where I end up going. But yes.
Actually, I think you'll have just gotten back the day before. Yes.
Yeah.
You'll get back on Sunday.
Oh, shit, yeah. I had just came back. But yeah, si me siguen en Instagram van a saber para dónde fui.
You're not going to tell anybody yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I probably won't even post it until like I literally come back from...
Well, actually, by the time this comes out, like, if they follow you, they'll already know.
Yeah, you guys will know where I was.
So
then I could say it, right?
Huh?
Then I could say it then, right?
Yeah, you can say it.
Oh, yeah, I'll be back from Hawaii, bitches. I actually took my... I do this thing now where for my birthday, I give myself, like, a solo trip. Oh, I do it a little bit too often. But this year, I actually am going to Hawaii. So I'm super excited because I've never been. So
yeah. I've never been to Hawaii either.
¿Y sabes lo que voy a hacer allá? Nada. Bro, I have planned, like, it's going to be complete relaxation.
So you're not going to do any of the tours like you normally... Because you normally do tours.
Yeah, I normally am very, like, up and... No, I booked the fucking good-ass resort. It's beachfront. Like, tengo a beach right there. Yeah. I'm just going to be a bum.
That actually sounds very nice.
Just fucking relax and, I don't know, just be one with nature. And, yeah.
Be one with nature?
Yes. So
she's gonna be a seashell, starfish.
Exactly. So, if next episode, maybe I'm a little tan, quién sabe. O soy roja como el pinche lobster, because I don't get tan. I'm fucking red.
That's funny. I don't actually get red. I tan. Like,
well, it must be nice, Angel.
I actually like get dark. Like if I'm wearing this and I'm in sunlight, I'll get a farmer's tan by the end of the day.
Must be nice.
Hate it.
Must be nice. I get burned.
I
get burned. I get red, and I start peeling. It's gross.
Damn, that sucks. No, I legit, I get like farmer's tans. That's why like sometimes I be going to the beach and I'm one of those people that has to like taparme with the toalla because then I get like, not that like, it's not that like I don't want to be dark or anything. And no se trata de eso, se trata de because I don't want to be uneven. So like I don't want to get like the tan lines and stuff, or like let's say I'm wearing a crew neck, y aquí se te mira la línea like a harsh, and then you wear like
and then you wear a tank top or something, and it's like
yeah, like girl, your neck and your
it ain't matching.
So that is why I'm the person with the towel wrapped around or under an umbrella or something. And it's so funny because my sister's the total opposite, because you know my sister's a little more light skinned, she's lighter than I am. She doesn't tan, she turns red. And it's so funny because, well, you know what? Like, her upper body, no issues with tanning. It's her legs. Her legs do not tan.
What?
So we went to the beach one time.
I'm like the opposite.
Yeah? Her beach...
My legs get tan a little bit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Hers don't. So we went to the beach one time, and she even bought, like, this tanning oil.
Yeah, dijo, yo voy a ser una bronze queen today.
Yeah, so she put this tanning oil on her legs, and she covered her upper body. Se tapó con una toalla, because she was like, I don't want my upper body to get darker, because her upper body does tan. And her legs are so fucking white. And she's like tanning them, right? So then we leave or whatever, right? And tell me why homegirl's legs did not tan.
Oh, hell no.
But her feet did. So her feet were darker than her So her legs did not tan, but her feet did. Her feet were like darker than her legs. And I'm like, ew. I felt so bad for her, and I'm like, that's
like the opposite of the sock effect. You know how like when you wear socks and if you wear shorts so fucking tan and your feet are wide as fuck?
Yeah, that's totally the opposite of the sock effect.
Like she was wearing leggings and just her feet out. Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
Oh my god, yeah. But I was like, I was laughing because her feet were darker and then her legs were still white. I think they got a little red because they got burned, but no.
Pero no.
Nada de tan.
Damn. That must fucking suck.
Yeah.
Me. That's exactly what happens to me, but like more for me, it's like my upper body.
Your upper body doesn't tan. It's
No.
your lower body.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
But then yo estoy bien dispareja, bro. Tengo muchos colores, yo like.
Yeah, me too.
No soy pareja. Like I've never been like one complete color. I could be one color here, one color here, one color here. Like
me too. And then it depends too with the seasons. Like sometimes, especially during summertime, I feel like I get a little darker than like wintertime.
Yeah.
I feel like I look a little lighter. Pero, y eso que no estoy yo en el sol. Like, I literally...
Ni salgo, nomás con que mi cuerpo sepa que cambió season allí.
Yeah, I don't... Honestly, the summers here in Vegas are fucking brutal.
Oh and nobody... Like, no. Yes, like going out tanning and in Vegas sun, you literally go out and you like turn fucking like... You start getting little flames and shit because it's so fucking hot.
I can't. And yes, so that you know me, I get hot really fucking easy. I get hot so easy. And
oh my god, getting in your car with fucking leather seats.
I have leather seats.
Oh man, me too, bro.
Nope. Te quema el fundido.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
And God forbid one of the fucking seatbelt clips touch your arm.
Oh my god, no. And it's burned me before, bro. Like, it leaves a mark. No. Fucking
yeah, that's what I know. Like, I be in my 68-degree home.
I know, must be nice.
I'd be cranking that shit hella low. I'd be like, it's too hot for all this shit.
Fucking cat.
I can't. And my mom be like, ¿por qué lo tienes tan bajito? And she's trying to touch my thermostat. I'm like, no. This
no
is
es su casa.
And she wants to touch my thermostat.
That was my parents in my house, bro. I kept it because I'm not a 68 girly. You know, I'm more of a 71 girly. Like a 72. That's like my good.
Okay.
Whatever. And I would keep it like that all whatever. And my parents would be like, why is the AC on in fucking like March? No. And I'm like, no, don't touch it.
You ain't paying the light bill.
Pero I sold my house, guys, and I moved back with my parents, you know, to kind of live my life. And now my dad's laughing because it's like, haha, don't touch my thermostat. I'm like, fuck.
What is it with parents and the fucking thermostat?
My dad's like, no, it's summer. Why are we turning on the AC? Todavía está bien. And that man is literally sweating. And he's like, está bien, no te preocupes, no necesitamos AC. ¿Pa qué prendes el? No. And bro, it's 90 in the house and we just all like fucking... And this man is like, no, not summer.
Oh, hell no. Today, so we do this thing now where we turn off the air during the day when nobody's home.
Yeah.
So... I came home today and it was 77 in my house. I'm like, fuck no. I fucking turned on the AC right away. I'm like, I was like, ick. It gave me the ick.
Yeah.
Walking into my home and it was warm. I'm like, fuck no. I get hot. Me and Val get hot really easy. And I don't know if it's just being a bigger person thing.
Yeah.
But... I get hot really easy and I'm just like,
I can tolerate to a certain point, bro, but my dad se pasa a veces, bro. Like, no siento el calor, no sé de qué están hablando, bro. He over here burning and fucking melting and shit like that. No siento la calor, señor.
I just want to know where the fuck it comes from because, or like even when my mom, she'll come over and she'll be like, girl, it's freezing cold in your house. I'm like, it's freezing. She literally se tiene que poner un saco when she comes to my house. And I'm like, it is not
it's the middle of the summer, but she still brings her sweater because she knows it's going to be cold.
Yeah, and then I go to her house, I'll be like, girl, you go to my mom's house, and even if she's just cooking, something about like her AC not being cranked low enough, and like her cooking makes her house even warmer, and I'll just be like, I gotta go. I was like,
no le puedo cambiar el thermostat, but I'm leaving.
I was like, this is a little ghetto. I gotta go. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I was like, and then my sister gets mad because my sister's like, Mom, you don't even pay the light bill. I do.
She's like, I'm saving you money.
And it's funny because my mom legit will be like, no, va a estar muy caro. And my sister's like, Mom, I'm on the equal payment plan. Like,
ma'am, you can turn it up.
No. And my mom literally puts a sticky note on there that says, do not touch. And, no, you know what? She put no touch. TOSH. No touch. And I'm like, you're so cute, Mom. With her little sticky note. And one time we took it like to mess with her, and she'd be like, "¿Quién tocó?" Yeah, she got hella mad.
Oh my god, and no.
She'll be like, fucking like, who touched my shit? I'm like, nobody.
No, we have like family discussions about turning on the AC. I'm like, sir, these are the pros and cons about turning on the AC right now. Like, come on. And we have to give a whole presentation to my dad.
You're about to go get the fucking swamp cooler?
Yes.
You guys gonna get a swamp cooler?
Yeah. He's like, no, you guys got fans, bro. Fans been out and they ain't doing shit.
Dude, and you know what?
We convinced them
on your 2-story home, like heat rises.
Yes, so. And that's the worst because all of our rooms are upstairs, so we can be cool. Like it's cool not having the AC downstairs because you could open the doors and it ventilates pretty like good. Get me? But upstairs, bro, aunque abras las ventanas, like está sofocado. It's like you're literally just fucking cooking in there. Like
how do you sleep?
Well, now my dad turned on the AC.
Oh, okay.
We tied him up to a chair and we said, no, we're turning on the AC. I'm just kidding. But no, we convinced them.
If my body's too hot, I can't sleep.
Oh, no, we couldn't. None of us could sleep at that point. We're like, no. And we took a vote.
You took a family vote?
Majority won. Even though he didn't
like,
want
it's a democracy around here.
Yeah, he was like, and then he's like, ay, yo no sé pa' qué prende. And then he's over here enjoying the fucking air. I'm like, no que no. No que no. He's like, si prenden el de arriba, because we have two ACs, like 2 units. He's like, si prenden el de arriba, pues va prenden el de abajo también. I'm like, sir. Because we agreed to just turn on the top one, but he's like, might as well just turn the bottom one on.
You know.
And I'm like, okay. ¿Quién lo entiende? ¿Quién lo entiende? Dime.
That's hella funny. I was legit gonna ask you, I'm like, damn. I was like, I don't know what it's like to grow up with a dad. I was gonna ask you, I'm like, I don't know what that's like, but okay.
Damn. I'm not me fucking crying. Damn.
No, me already crying.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
No, because sometimes, like, okay, I hear people talk about, like, oh my god, my dad this, oh my god this, or like, my dad whatever, right? And I'll just be like, no, I don't know what that's like. Like, I didn't, like, there's certain things about my life where I feel like would have been different having, like, my dad, like, actually in the home.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I can't relate to people when they talk about, like, oh my god, like, I just got into a fight with my dad over something, or like, oh, my dad said this or that or whatever. And it's just like, I don't know.
My dad has always been the more stricter of the parents. My mom has always been the one that has to, like, you know, like, she's always been there. My dad always has been the breadwinner, so, but he's always been the more strict one. But my mom's the one that follows through with his, like, whatever punishment I get type shit. Damn, that sounds medieval over here. But like for example, if my dad's like, you know what, this is tu castigo. You don't fucking get your phone for a whole month. My mom's the one like, give me your phone. Yeah, you ain't getting that. She's the one that follows through with it, you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my dad was really strict, very very strict, but I don't know, like, I think for me, like, if talking about, like, you know, being with I can't imagine my life without my dad. You know, he's like my everything.
Did he teach you how to change a tire?
Yeah. Did I remember? Fuck no.
Because you didn't tell your dad?
He also taught me how to change the oil in my car. Did I remember? Fuck no. The fuck? Till this day, my dad still changes the oils. Well, now I have a new car, so I just fucking take it to the dealership. But I have another car too, so he still does maintenance for that one. He still changes my tires. He does everything for me. So whenever it's like, oh shit, like, I need... Sorry, I saw my mic moving. I was like, oh, no.
You're not falling today.
You're not hitting me today. But yeah, like, my dad has always been the one that I call up for everything.
When it has to do something, like, physical, like...
Yeah, that's something where I need strength. Like, bro, like...
Or a cockroach.
Yeah, or a cockroach. He hates when I fucking do... He's like, what is that tiny shit gonna do to you? I don't know, but he still kills it. The fuck? Or my mom will do that too. I know, it sounds bad, but, like, I'm just like, I'll be like, no. So my mom.
So, like, okay, growing up in a 2-parent household, what was it like when you asked for permission for okay, I just want to know the dynamic, because, like,
for anybody that had a 2-parent household, they fucking know the struggle of this. Okay, so
because for me, like, it was just like, Mom, can I, you know, whatever. So it's like, her word was like fucking God. Like that was her word was final word.
Well, if anybody, I'm pretty sure a lot of Latino parents, because I know all my cousins fucking relate to this too. I go ask my mom, and she'd be like, "Ve pregúntale a tu papá." And I'm like, okay, I voy con mi papá. Oiga, ¿puedo salir? Pregúntale a tu mamá. Pero es que me dijo que le venga a preguntar a usted. No, pregúntele a tu mamá. Okay, ahí voy. No. And then my mama would be like, Guillermo, tú dile que si va a ir o no. No, tú dile. And I'm like,
so,
oh
like,
my
nobody
God.
wants to be the bad guy?
No, nobody wants to be the bad guy. And then until somebody has to fucking suck it up. And it was usually my dad that was like, pues, no. He would always do that. Like, try to, like, be like, no. I'm like, oh my God. Or sometimes, like, depending, like, let's say I didn't help my mom with chores that day. And it would be my mom, no. So it really depended on which one wasn't feeling me.
Which one wasn't feeling me?
Yes.
Did you ever do the thing that they do on TV? Is like you go ask one parent because you know they're a little softer than the other ones.
Yes. It usually was my dad.
Your dad was easier than your mom?
Yeah, because my mom, keep in mind, she was always at home. So she knew the shit. Like, first of all, me and my mom, especially when I was a teenager, we just did not get along that great. We would yell back at each other. Like, it was, like, siempre, what my mom calls, like, mulear, you know, like, talk back to her. I would always talk back to her. But my dad, Dios que no quiera Dios que I'll talk back to my dad. My dad would be like, he wouldn't even give me a fucking chance. But so that's why I was like, so like I wasn't like scared, but I was more like I watched myself a lot more with my dad. With my mom, it was like we would constantly bicker. So it was easier for her to say, no, you're not gonna go because of this, and this. You get me? And with my dad, it was like, ¿Puedo salir, papi, por favor? And then he'd be like, okay. Pero then my mom had to set the curfew. Like, they would balance each other out like that. Like, okay, I'll let you go, but your mom has to set the curfew for you.
See, and I'm curious about this. What is the dynamic with parenting? Like, what if one parent says one thing, but then the other doesn't agree? Like, did you ever see that?
Yeah.
Like, were they, like, bicker in front of you?
Like, I saw them, like, bicker a bit, like when it came to like letting me out and giving me permission or times and stuff like that. Like my dad, he'd be like, "Nah, you gotta be home by like 8," and it'd be 7, and I'm like, "But we're gonna go watch a movie." No, 8. And I was like, "Come on, give her some time, maybe 9." And that they had different, but my mom was more lenient because I feel like she understood where I was. You get me? My dad's like more overprotective. Like, I don't want you fucking doing shit, you know.
And shit you did.
And shit I did. Oh my God, era tan... Oh my God. Es que también, ¿has oído ese dicho, padres, like, strict parents create,
The best liars?
Yeah, the best liars, and that's how it fucking was, bro. That's how it was. My sister watching this, they're like, I fucking told you, Mom. I told you Edith was the biggest liar of all of us. They always throw that to my mom's face because they always do shit, and my mom les regaña, and they're like, but Edith did this. And my mom's like, no, I no hizo nada. They're like...
And your mom's still trying to have your back?
Yes. I'm like, yeah, no hice nada. But yeah, it was very interesting.
You over here outing yourself?
Yeah. But how was it with your mom, like, and permission and asking for, like, permission to go out and shit like that?
I feel like it was easy. I just go up to her. It depends on her mood. You gotta feel her mood.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be like, you gotta test them, like, look out, like, a little bit and then, see how they...
And then you go sit in the bed and you do the little, like, oh, what you watching? Oh,
te quiero mucho. Like, or just hug them.
No, I didn't do that.
Oh, you didn't do that? Oh.
No, me and my mom were not... If I would have hugged her and started telling her that I love her, she'd be like, what do you want?
Oh, okay.
Because we weren't... Not growing up...
I mean, my mom would do that, too, but I was...
We were not affectionate like that, so... She, off the bat, she'd be like, what do you want? I'll just be like, oh, like, what are you watching? Oh, they're funny. And, like, I'll be like, oh, ¿qué vas a hacer?
There for, like, 10 minutes.
Yeah, you're like, yeah.
Building the fucking courage to ask.
Building the courage to add. I'm like, oh, ¿qué vas a hacer? Oh, okay. Making small conversation. And then I'd be like, so, Mom, my friends told me that they're going to go to the movies. And they asked if I wanted to go, too.
But I mean, I didn't tell them yes or no, cause
so like that it just depends. Like you gotta feel their fucking vibe.
Si están lavando los trastes así, no. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm not going. I'm not gonna risk it.
If she was already in a bad mood, I'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna wait for another day.
Yeah.
If it's gonna be like a plan, ya más adelante, I would like wait for her to be in a good mood. Because if she was in a bad mood, I was like, you know what? Today's not the day to ask.
Exactly. Yes. Like, no.
But the thing about my mom was like, it got to the point too where I even was just like, hey mom, can I do this or whatever? Because I just feel like my mom trusted me.
Yeah.
She trusted me to be responsible and like not make dumb decisions, which I am guilty of making dumb decisions. But I feel like that's the part of growing up, right?
You know the picture that I think it's a picture that you posted, and we were like holding bottles and we were like supposedly drunk or whatever. I say that in quotation, like, supposedly drunk.
And we were supposedly blacked
and my sister's like, you were in high school when you took this picture, huh? And I'm like, no, I wasn't. And she's over here telling my mom, you see, she was out here in parties getting drunk with Angel, and you didn't tell her anything. I'm like, mom, I was in high school. She's like, and my little sister's like, I know that jacket from when you were a junior in high school.
Damn.
I'm like, girl,
you keep track of my wardrobe?
Yes. I'm like, fuck. She's like, and you think I'm doing that? And I'm like, okay. So me usan de ejemplo mis hermanos. They're always like, Edith did this though.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck.
No, I think my mom trusted me, and like to a point I was pretty like responsible.
You
to
were.
A certain
I feel
point.
Like you were.
To a certain point I was pretty responsible.
You had fun though.
And I had fun.
A lot of
fun. Yeah, like she was very lenient, and I think it came more from a place of like she felt bad. I think a lot of times growing up, she was more lenient with us because she felt bad for not being very present in our lives. So she was like, why am I going to hold them back from doing things if I can't even be there, you know? So yo creo que le daba mucha lástima. Like she would be like, okay, but just be safe. Like, who's gonna be there? And like that's why growing up, like I always told my mom where I was at. Like except that one time where it was my birthday or whatever. But like for the most part,
for that.
For the most part, I told my mom who I was with and where I was, and like I was pretty honest, and I had like that open communication with her. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go out with so and so, and we're gonna do this or whatever. And she let me stay out late and stuff, but she knew that I always came home, and you know what I mean. Like I feel like I was pretty responsible, so she.
I feel like you were. My parents were not like that.
She was very lenient with us on a lot of things. Like we didn't have like a very strict mom, but I think I think it just comes back to like I think she just felt bad. So, but like it was weird because, so when Val proposed to me, this is where things got a little weird. Okay.
Ooh.
When Val proposed to me, he knew that it was important for him to get my mom's blessing.
Yeah.
And you know, normally they go to like the dad.
Yeah.
Or like both parents. And Val kind of already knew where I stood with my dad, and I love him and I respect him because he's my dad, but like at the same time I didn't really feel it was necessary for Val to get his blessing because he didn't technically raise me. My mom did. So if anybody deserved the respect of asking for their blessing, it was my mom, because my mom put up with all my bullshit. My mom raised me. My mom did this and that for me. So Val asked for my mom's blessing when he proposed to me. And then excuse me, when like, you know, the preparations leading up to the wedding and everything, I had already asked my mom to walk me down the aisle. I didn't ask my dad. I asked my mom.
How did he take that?
And so honestly, as soon as Val proposed to me, I called my mom. My mom and my sister were the first people I FaceTimed. I FaceTimed them to let them know that, like, we're engaged now, whatever, right? And I don't think I told my dad till, like, maybe a few days later. And my dad, I feel like, got very emotional. Like, I think we went out for breakfast and I told him that Val proposed to me and stuff. And I think he got kind of emotional about it. And I think there was a moment that he had of, like, shit, I'm missing out on huge parts of my daughter's life. And it was like I remember that conversation was kind of emotional because like he straight up asked me like, shouldn't Val have asked me for my blessing? And, like, for him to straight out ask me that.
Damn,
like,
straight out asked?
He straight out asked me, like, shouldn't have Val asked for my blessing. And he straight out asked me, and it kind of put me on the spot. And I like, dead ass had to look at him in the eye and just be like, I mean, he could have. I was like, pues, like, podía, pero I was like, honestly, I was like, he asked my mom. And I didn't even know I didn't know how to put years of built up, like, feelings and emotions of, like, how he made me feel and what he kind of put me through growing up.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know how to verbalize, like, everything that I wanted to tell him. So I kind of was just like, I didn't even know. Honestly, I don't even really know what I said. I just remember I was like,
I kind of
blanked out because I was not expecting him to straight up ask me, like, shouldn't have Val asked for my blessing too. And I just kind of was like, well, he asked my mom. And that's all I said. I was just like, oh, well, he asked my mom. And then he kind of got into this, like, he does this thing sometimes where he kind of gets into, like, lecture mode. And he's like, well, I'm your dad. Like, the traditional and proper thing would have been to ask me. And he started, and I feel like my dad, in a way, kind of, sometimes he'd do this manipulative thing where he tries to make me feel bad.
Yeah, it's like a defense type thing.
It's a defense mechanism, yeah. I think. But I think there was, like, a realization there of, like, shit. Because, he realized that he's missing out on, like, you know, like, big parts of my life. And, like, yeah, like, whenever we, like, hung out and stuff, we did, like, we would have surface level conversations, which you know how much I don't like surface level. I don't like surface level conversations, and sometimes those conversations were, like, so painful, like, physically painful for me because I didn't know what to say. So, like, me and my dad would sometimes just, like, kind of talk about the weather. We would talk about the weather. We would Mexican
dance in the weather.
Like, it was weird. I don't know. But that moment was just kind of, like, eye-opening of, like, fuck. Like, I think that's when shit kind of started. I think that's when he started reflecting.
Yeah, he's like, shit, I haven't been in her life. I should be.
Yeah. And I think that's when he really started reflecting, like, fuck. Like, I'm missing out on parts of her life. And I remember, pasó eso, right? And then it come to the point when he came over one day, and I was at my mom's house. Yeah. I was still living there. And he came over, and, like, him and my mom are still cool or whatever, but, like, we started having this conversation. I don't know what we were talking about, and then my dad, like, straight up looks at me, and he goes, he's like, oh, and so who's gonna walk you down the aisle? And
I could just imagine you and your mom just kind of like...
My mom was doing dishes, and she was just kind of like... like, she was kind of doing, like, kind of like a side eye, like, yeah. Shit, what is about to fucking happen right now?
Like, what is she gonna say?
And I think at this point, I've kind of, like... I think at that point, I was already going through, like, a healing journey. And I think think at that moment, I knew, like, the conversation that I feel like there was always an elephant in the room with my dad and I. Yeah. And it was always our relationship, right? Because we weren't close. And I feel like at that very moment, I knew that we couldn't avoid the elephant in the room anymore. So it makes me very emotional because I had, like, a very kind of, it was just a weird relationship that I had with my dad. And I feel like, so when he straight up asked me, he's like, so who's going to walk you down the aisle? I straight up looked at him, and I was like, confidently, I was like, as much confident as I could feel. I was like, my mom is. And then he kind of just looked down, and I could just see the hurt on his face. Like, the hurt on his face of, like, I chose my mom to walk me down the aisle instead of my dad. And then, Jesus, I'm about to, like, start crying right now. So he looked down, and then he goes... And then again, he does the whole, like, manipulative thing. And he goes, you don't think it hurts me? He's like, you don't think it hurts me that that your mom's going to be walking you down the aisle instead of your dad? Like traditionally, like, it's the dad that's supposed to walk down their daughter down the aisle and, like, give away their daughter to, like, their husband, to you know, whatever, to their groom and this and that. And he's like, it hurts me that, like, you didn't even think about me or think about asking me and, like, this and this and that. He's like, and you're asking your mom. And he started kind of doing this thing, and it got to the point where, like, I'm over here, like, in tears at this point. I started like, kind of like my eyes started getting very watery because like, I just started feeling like all my childhood, like feelings like coming up, like everything just started coming up. And I was like, whoo, I was like,
everything you had just fucking.
Yeah, and I just was like, and I told him, and I'm like, you know what, like, I was like, I get where you're coming from. I was like, I totally understand why you're hurt. I was like, but you don't think it hurt me growing up without you like seeking me out? I was like, all the times that I waited for you and you never showed up. Like, all the times that I waited for you and you never showed up when you told me you were going to. I was like, you are not going to give me away because you did not raise me. My mom did. So I told him, I'm like, you didn't raise me, so you have no right to give me away. I was like, and I'm not going to disrespect my mother by allowing you to give me away when she put up with all my bullshit. She raised me. She held me when I cried. She held me when I cried when you never showed up for me. There was all the times when I needed you. I needed a father in my life and you weren't there. I was like, my mom had to be mom and dad. I was like, there was times when I needed a dad and you weren't there. You didn't show up. You didn't show up for me. And, sorry guys, I was like, you didn't show up for me. I was like, and I'm not gonna disrespect my mother by taking that away from her. I was like, because if anyone deserves to give me away, it's her. I was like, that woman went through hell for everything that she did for me. I was like, and I'm not taking that away from her. And at this point, I'm bawling my eyes out, and my dad just started crying. And then ya ni supo qué decir. He just broke down crying, and then he hugged me. And I think that's when it hit him. That's when it hit him that he was like, something has to change. He's like, something has to change. And he hugged me that day. And then nothing else was said after that. He was just like, didn't even know what to say. Ended up walking him out. And he just looked at me and he was like, he's like, everything aside, he's like, never forget that I still love you and you're still my daughter. He's like, I love you. And then he walked away. And then I think he went through a lot of healing. He had to go through a lot of healing. I don't know what he did.
That probably just kind of like triggered him to kind of do the work.
Yeah, he still didn't show up to my wedding. He didn't show up to my wedding. It kind of hurt a little bit, but I think he realized a lot of things and he took some time to reflect. You also got to think it was during COVID, and my dad is high risk. He has diabetes. He's high risk, so it was during COVID and he didn't really want to get sick or nothing, but he decided to not go to the wedding. He could have if he wanted to, but he decided not to. And I think he had a lot of time to self-reflect, and after that is when I want to say that like it was that pivotal moment that our relationship changed, because then he started calling me more. He started coming to see me more, and instead of me having to seek him out, he came to me. He came to me and he literally was like, how are you doing? How are things? And he started calling me more now, and it almost like, and then we would go to breakfast. We've been going to breakfast, and then instead of having like surface level conversations, he started asking me like, so how's married life? And he started asking me like deeper conversations, and then I found out he has a dog and a fucking cat. Tell me,
you didn't know he had a dog and a cat?
I didn't know my dad had a dog and a cat, and he really likes his cat. So there was like, there was definitely that moment. It was just a pivotal moment of like, it defined our relationship now. Like, that conversation we had to have that conversation, and we finally addressed the elephant in the room. And I think it was that moment that he realized he broke my heart as a kid. So, I think that's when he realized like, shit, like things have to change. And then I feel like he started trying a little more. He started putting in more effort, and he started showing me pictures of his home and like telling me like, oh, this is my cat and this is my dog, and I had no fucking idea that he had a dog and a cat. And he started oh shit, the camera just turned off.
Oh, I guess it's gonna be the rest audio.
Yeah, and we didn't even take a break. It's already 34 minutes.
It's okay.
Anyway, should we just take a break?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's take a break.
We're gonna go on a brief break, guys.
All right.
Hi guys, welcome back. It was a very brief break, and we cleared up our tears and no more.
And we laughed a little bit.
Woo, that got real deep. I
know.
think we kind of knew this one was going to be a deeper one.
I know.
Yeah, but ¿dónde nos quedamos? Before the camera.
We're talking about your dad, and I think had just finished the story of telling him why he wasn't walking you down the aisle, and it was your mom. And you mentioned something that really, like, you said that he broke your heart, like when you were smaller, you know. But would you consider that your first heartbreak?
100%. My dad was my first heartbreak, and I remember the day to a T. It's so crazy to say, but I remember the day. Actually, he broke my heart multiple times. But I remember the first time that I really, really felt it. So here's the thing. I feel like it sounds weird to say, but I feel like I had a mature mindset as a kid. Like, I feel like I had a mature mindset as a kid in the sense of like, when I still remember the day my parents separated, right? Mm-hmm. I remember the day like it was fucking yesterday. Like, I still remember what I ate. Like, that's how much I remember it.
Damn.
It was a really terrible fucking snack, by the way. It was like...
What was it?
It was like a sandwich bread with ketchup. Like, who the fuck told me to eat ketchup and bread? But I legit like to put ketchup on sandwich bread and spread it out and eat it. Yeah, it's disgusting. But
terrible.
Yeah, I still remember the day I was in kindergarten, and I just remember I was kind of confused that day because I just remember like one day like my mom was home and my dad was working, which was weird because they kind of had the same schedule.
Yeah.
But my mom was home. And we stayed home that day. And then out of nowhere, I just remember like looking outside and seeing a whole bunch of trucks coming our way and my family. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because mind you, this was during a time where we lived in Parental.
I forgot you lived out there.
Yeah, we lived in Parental. And all of this family lived out here in Vegas. So... one day I like remember looking out the door and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was so confused because my family was rolling deep in their fucking trucks. I venía. And the neighbors too from the old house that my mom had. Mm-hmm. And then they just started packing all our shit. They started packing all our shit and everything. And I was so confused because I'm like, ¿qué pasó? Like, and then my mom had to sit me down and told me that she was leaving my dad. And, she basically explained to me that they weren't compatible. I think and this is one thing that I respect about my mom so much, is that yes, I was a child, but she also talked to me like I was an adult. In a sense of like, she didn't have to sugarcoat things or like try to like blind me from things. Like, she told me how it was kind of thing. And like, that was one thing that like I really appreciated that. And she straight up told me that, like, she was leaving my dad, you know, she was, they weren't compatible, and, like, she thinks that they would be better off, like, not being together, and they would be happier that way. And I understood it. Like, my mind, and, like, you see movies or you hear about people who, like, kids when their parents break up, they have like this heartbreak too. Like, not only are the parents breaking up, but like they almost have like a heartbreak of their parents separating, right? And I feel like I was very mature about it and I understood it. Like, I was just like, okay, like, if you guys aren't happy together, then cool. Like, I never never blamed myself. I never thought that it was going to affect me. Like, I just thought that, like, I would see my dad and I would see my mom and cool, you know? So I remember that day I wasn't even heartbroken. If anything, I was fucking playing. I was playing outside. I remember how we had a goat and I was playing with her name was Chayla, and I was playing with Chayla outside and just chasing this fucking goat was chasing me. And she would do her little thing. Me decía así, me ponía los cuernos.
Yeah.
And she would fucking chase me, dude. She was very fucking playful and
yeah,
she was a little crazy. But I remember they started packing everything, and I think I was confused too because I was like, I never saw my parents fight. I never saw my parents fight, and I thought we were all one big happy family. And my mom, when she sat me down, she told me that they did fight, but it was behind closed doors, and my mom never wanted us to hear them fight. So whenever they did fight, it was like they never like fought in front of us. And that was one thing too that I respect about them is about my mom is that they kept that private, and they didn't like put their like, well, they only had me. My sister is not my dad's, but they never like allowed us to see them fight and like put us through that, you know?
I love that.
And
I love that.
So to me, I was like confused too because I was like, wait, I thought we were like a happy family because you see in movies when parents are fighting and, you know, like, and then they're going to get a divorce and like you get it. Yeah. But like to me, it was kind of like, what?
You guys never fought.
You guys never fought. But my mom was like, well, we did fight, but we just never did it in front of you. And I was like, okay. So I guess I was very understanding about everything. And so my mentality was, okay, like, I'm still going to spend time with my dad. I was living full time with my mom, and then my dad would go see me every Sunday. Mm. And that was kind of like the deal that was set up. And so then over time, like I remember Sunday rolled around and I was like, oh, I get to see dad. So I would get to spend time with dad, and we would go on these little dates, and he would take me out to eat, and then he would always buy me a little toy. And then, he would take me home, and then sometimes there was days where I would have like sleepovers in Parental, and I would go over there and spend like a weekend with him, come home, and I was fine with the arrangement. Like honestly, I was completely fine with it. It just like got to the point where slowly over time I started noticing that he started calling less. He started showing up less, and like every week turned into like he would only come and see me every 2 weeks. And it wasn't like day and night, right? Like this kind of was like a slow progression. Like it went from he would come every week, and then slowly over time it was like every 2 weeks, and then every 2 weeks turned into every 3 weeks, and then every 3 weeks turned into like once a month, and then there would be like months would go by and I wouldn't hear from him. Right? And then so he would go and see me, and sometimes he would just not even go to see me. He would just call and just be like, hey, how are you, whatever, and like that was it. Like he wouldn't even go see me. And so like I still remember the day when like I feel like it really, because I cherished ¿cómo se dice? Cherished Ay, esa madre. Every moment that I got to spend with him. And that's why, like, I remember growing up, sometimes my mom would, like, get kind of a little frustrated with me. And she'd be like, ay, ¿por qué nunca le preguntas a tu padre? Like, why don't you ever ask your dad for anything? She's like, you always ask me. And I think those were during the moments where she would get, like, really frustrated. And I get it. Like, looking back at it, like, totally get it. Why she would feel that way. And like now as a person who has kind of, you know, gone through some healing, I realized that like I never wanted to ask my dad for anything because I didn't want to create any like turbulence between us. I didn't want to like create any like friction within our relationship. Like as rocky as our relationship was already, I never wanted to ask him for something. And then because the times that I did ask him, sometimes me daba like some sob story of like I'm very poor, and then your mom asks me to send her money, so like I have to send her money, so I don't really have a lot of money left though. And he would like make me feel bad. So like I already didn't want to create any more like friction with us. So I never asked him. I tried not to ask him for things, and I would just ask my mom because I felt more comfortable. And like so there was times where he would call me and he'd be like, hey, I'm getting off of work, I'm gonna go see you. I remember this day specifically because I feel like this was the day that like he really broke my heart for like the first time. And I had called him because I was like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. I haven't talked to you in a while. And I was like, oh, I really miss you. So, he was like, oh, like, I'll go see you. So he had told me that he was going to come see me, and he got off of work at 5. That normally meant that he would be at my house by 5:30. If he gets off at 5, he would be there by 5:30. So I remember that day, and he was like, okay, I'm going to go see you after work. So I was so excited to see him that day because we were going to go out to eat. And I got ready, me peiné, me alisté. And I remember I waited for him. And I remember this house that we were living at the time. Like, you know those garages that have kind of like the little windows on the top?
Yeah.
So this house had that kind of garage where it has little windows on the top. And I had this, like, it was like a playhouse that I had in the garage. And I remember that day I was waiting for him because I was so excited. I climbed up this house, and you sit on the top of the chimney. You could see outside. You could see outside the little window from the garage. And so I remember just sitting there and just waiting for him. And then I remember I had a cell phone during this time because I was in 4th. I had my first cell phone at 4th grade. And what's it called? Because this was during the time that my mom was working 2 jobs. So she, like, wanted to keep tabs on us, so I had my cell phone. And I, like, kept looking at the time on my phone, and, like, it was like 5:30 came around and he still wasn't there. So I'm just, like, waiting on the little house, looking out the window, and then I start noticing, like, the sun is going down, and it's like I'm checking, like, cada ratito, like, checking the time, and he never showed up. And it was, like, already, like, 10 o'clock at night, and he just never showed up that day. I think that's when I realized, like, shit, like, things are just not the same with my dad anymore, because before he said he would show up, and he did, and, like, that was the first time that he just, like, stood me up, and it just, like, broke my heart, because, like, I never questioned my parents breaking up. Like, I never was a bad kid. Like, I was good at school. I got good grades. And so, like, a part of me was like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong for him to just stand me up? And I remember that day, my mom was still working because she was working all the time. And I just remember going to my room and just crying myself to sleep that night, because it just really hurt, you know, like, the one person who is, like, I don't know, I guess biologically, like, already supposed to love you because they're your parent, and, like, I just felt so unloved as a kid. Like, I felt so unloved by him at that very moment, because I started blaming myself. Like, what did I do? What can I do for him to, like, want to come see me? Like, I never questioned it. I never questioned my parents' decision to break up. So I never thought it was me. I thought nothing was going to change. And then slowly over time, he just stopped seeing me. And then that day is when I feel like my heart really broke. And it was because of him. Yes, I know my mom always told me, don't trust anybody. Don't trust anybody. Like, so I kind of grew up not trusting people. But it was after that I was like, if I can't even trust my own father, how can I trust anybody to be there for me? So, oh my god, you guys, I'm so sorry. I'm just, like, crying. But I feel like because of him not showing up, I kind of, like, I feel like I got very angry after that. I got very angry, and I felt like I just couldn't believe people when they said they were gonna do something. Like, I always was just like, we'll see if you follow through. So I feel like my heart kind of grew cold, like, towards people, and I just didn't trust people.
And how old were you?
I was 10. I was 10 years old. Actually, no. Yeah, I was 10. I was 9 or 10, because I remember I was in 4th grade. And I think after that, that's when I was like, you can't trust people. And I kind of, like, that's where that kind of, like, it just took forever. And I think I never really counted on people. And that's why I had that mentality of, like, I have to do everything for myself. And I was just like, I get why my mom is the way she is, because she couldn't really rely on my father either. So it was like, see, so that's like, if something needs to get done, then you can only count on yourself. Like, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. And so that's why I got on that mentality of like, if you want to do something, you do it. Don't rely on nobody. And I remember my mom constantly drilling that into my head of like, you don't need a man. Like, you only got yourself. Like, if you want something done, you got to do it. Or te la averiguas. Like, you fucking figure it out. Like, don't be dependent on somebody. And so I always had that mentality. And so, like, I feel like that's probably why I just operated on masculine energy my entire childhood, until even like now. Like, it's just like, even being with Val now, like, I feel like it's taken like, you can't undo all these years overnight. So it's been a fucking journey, like, just me and Val. Oh my god, is the mic falling again?
Yeah.
It's been a journey of like healing that part of myself, and like knowing that, like, you know, you can trust people, like, not just because of what one person did, not everybody is gonna be like that, you know. But it just, like, I feel like the trajectory of my life could have been different, you know, like, knowing, I don't know, it really broke my heart. And I just felt like after that, like, I really couldn't trust anybody. And if your own father won't show up, what makes you think anybody else is going to? And I feel like that's why I have the relationship with my mom that I do, because she's always shown up. She's always pulled through.
She's always been there.
She's always been there, and like, bad or good. Puta madre, se apagó otra vez la camera. Fuck it. Fuck it. We have a few more minutes too. Okay. But yeah, that was that. And then I think after that took a while for me to like heal from that. Like, even it's just like, I know even till this day, like, it still hurts.
Yeah.
Even though I've already forgiven my dad and we have a better relationship now, like, that's still there. Like, my inner child is still very heartbroken.
Yeah.
Over just feeling lonely when I was younger. I felt very alone when I was younger. And I think another time where, like, I felt like he kind of broke my heart was, I think by this time around, I was already in middle school, I was in middle school, like, about to be freshman year, I think, of high school, when, I think I was trying to improve my relationship with him. And so I had told him that I wanted to be a business owner. This was the first time, because we were driving by I still remember, we were driving by that abandoned building, which is no longer abandoned building, right there on Eastern, and like, you know which one I'm talking about. The one that took forever
for it to be something.
Yeah. Bro. And I think now it's like an attorney's office. Yeah,
didn't they destroy it? And then it still took forever.
I remember just looking at it, and I told my dad, I'm like, one day I'm going to be a business owner. And my dad looked at me, and he just laughed in my face. And it just, like, broke my heart.
No. You never told me this one. You never told me this one. It hurts me to know that a person that I value you so much, I love you so much, that you went through all that, like, you generally don't fucking deserve, you know? And to know that you as a little kid went through that, like, fuck, man.
Yeah. We were driving by that building, and I remember looking out the window in his little truck, and I was like, one day I was like, I'm gonna be a business owner, because I knew that I wanted to be a business owner desde que estaba chiquita, because I always looked at every profession, and I never wanted to be the person working. I wanted to be the owner. I wanted to be the one on top. And I told him, I'm like, one day I'm gonna be a business owner, and I'm gonna be successful and wealthy. And he looked at me, and he started laughing. And then he goes, you really think you can do that? And I just looked at him because I was so confused. I was like, what? Like, it's just like, whenever I told my mom all my plans, I would tell her, like, Mom, I'm going to do this. And she'd be like, tú sí puedes, hija. Like, you do it. My mom was always so encouraging. Hasta la fecha, you know how encouraging she is. It's so supportive. Dude, no sabiendo mi madre, y ahí está.
Yeah.
Clapping for me. And she will always be one of my biggest cheerleaders. And I just remember telling my dad, and he started laughing, and he's like, ¿Tú crees que puedes hacer eso? She's like, people like us? She's like, that doesn't happen for us. And I just looked at him so confused because I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we're poor. He's like, that doesn't happen to us. He's like, he basically told me that I needed to get my head out of the clouds. And I needed to get my head out of the clouds, and that I needed to focus on something that was going to be stable, that I should be a doctor or a lawyer or something. And I was like, I just didn't know what to tell him. I just remember I was like, okay, ya ni supe qué decirle. I just remember that day I got home because we went out for breakfast. I remember getting home that day, and my mom, why, se cayó. Yeah.
I'll hold it.
You're gonna, good thing the camera's off.
This is looking real ghetto.
This is real ghetto. I got home that day, and I remember I kept it together when the whole car ride home. I kept it together, and I just remember I got home and I closed the door behind me, and I just remember like I ran to my mom's room. I remember I ran to my mom's room, and she was sleeping because she had just got done working her shifts because she was working 2 jobs. And I ran to her room, and I just started crying. I just started crying and bawling my eyes out. And I told her, I'm like, why can I never make my dad proud? I was like, what? I was like, and I started thinking about, like, what have I done wrong? Like, what have I done? Like, why can I never be enough? My mom just hugged me, and she just started crying with me, and she's like, she didn't even know what to say, and she was just like, yeah, he's your dad, but she's like, I don't know what he's going through or what he's gone through that has made him the person that he is. She's like, but she basically told me, she's like, don't believe him. She's like, because at the end of the day, you have me. And she's like, you have me, and I believe you can do whatever you set your mind to. And I just remember just crying in her arms, and she was like, I know he loves you. She's like, and I don't know why he is the way he is. She's like, and I just remember her saying that, she's like, I still love your dad, and I think I always will, but we're not good together, and I think he has a lot of things that he needs to work through, and he hasn't, basically trying to say that he hasn't healed his inner child, and he's projecting it on me. And she's like, it has nothing to do with you, there's nothing wrong with you. She's like, it's him. She's like, I don't know what he's going through or what, what happened to him as a kid. She's like, but she's like, this has nothing to do with you. She's like, you can do whatever you set your mind to. And she's like, and you've proven that. She's like, you're such a good girl. Like, you go to school and you get good grades. And she's like, there's nothing wrong with you. She's like, you can do whatever you set your mind to. And she just hugged me, and I remember we just cried that day on the bed until we fell asleep. And then I just never brought it up again. I feel like I did a lot of detachment growing up, so after that I just let it out, and then after that I I feel like I started working even harder.
To kind of like prove him wrong.
I wanted to prove him wrong. I started working even harder, and that's why I was so hard on myself too. I wanted to make my mom proud, but I also wanted to prove him wrong, and I wanted to show him that like I'm enough and that yo sí voy a salir adelante. Yo sí voy a salir adelante, and I'm gonna show him that que sí se puede. And I remember, like, I would stay, like, sometimes I wouldn't even go to sleep working on a project because I had to make sure that it was fucking perfect. And you know, like, how much I busted my ass in high school because I wanted to prove him wrong. And I was like, I know that I'm not average. I know that I'm enough. And then after the whole wedding thing, and we finally had that like heart to heart, this was just like last year actually. This was like last year, or yeah, it was last year. We went out to breakfast. We went to Denny's, and he was like, so how are things, like how's Valentine, how are you, how's the married life, how's work? And we're just talking about all these things, and I'm telling him how Val's like gonna become a barber now, and like we have our house and we have our cars, and like I'm just like telling him everything, and I'm like how excited I am about my life and what I have going on. And he reached over and he grabbed my hand and he just looked at me and he was like, I'm very proud of you. He said, I'm very proud of you, of what you've done and where you are. I just looked at him and I was like, thank you. I just said thank you because I feel like I always worked to prove to him that like yo sí voy a salir adelante.
When you said that, did you feel it like
it was like a weight off
your
my
inner child was like finally
yeah,
he's proud?
I just remember after that, like I kept it together. I don't know why I do this, but I kept it together, and I was just like, thank you. I was like, that means a lot to me, and I don't think he knows how much it meant to me. But I remember that day he told me he was very proud of me and that I've done a great job with my life and where I'm at and where I'm going. And I remember that day we went into our cars and we went our separate ways. I remember just sitting in my car and I just started crying because I needed to hear that when I was younger. I needed to hear it when I was younger. And I was so hard on myself growing up. And I feel like even till this day, like it's not something a habit that you can break. It's not something that you just get over. And I feel like till this day, I'm so fucking hard on myself. And like sometimes it's hard for me to look at my life and be like, I'm doing amazing. And instead, I'm looking at my life and be like, you can do better.
Like, what more can you do?
That's exactly it. Yeah, we need to stop crying.
I think that the fucking camera's not on because
I look like a mess right now.
And me holding the mic like
Oh Lord.
God.
And that is where my daddy issues.
And that is where Angel's daddy issues come from.
But things are better now. Things are a lot better now, and I'm so happy that after that day when we had our heart to heart, like it needed to be done, like we needed to have that conversation, because that's when I told him, I'm like, you don't think it hurt me, like you don't think it broke my heart when I wanted you there and you weren't? I was like, I waited for you looking out the window and you never showed up. And I basically just like I guess the anger and hurt from over the years, it just came out, everything came out, and I think it did something to him, because things are so much better. And even the other day, like I want to say like a couple of months ago, or I think like late last year, like in December or something. We went out to breakfast, and like he's like showing me pictures of his cornfield or whatever the fuck, because he grows vegetables, yeah, and he's showing me his pets.
It's bro.
Yeah, he's showing me his pets, and then he bought me a gift. Me compró un regalo, and it just felt different. It feels different.
I'm really glad that you had that talk, you know, and you had that. And I wouldn't say closure, but it allowed you to heal, you know, because I feel like a lot of people don't get that from their parents.
They don't.
And of course, you would have wished it was sooner.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least it happened.
And like that's why sometimes like I try to think that, you know how we just talked about like losing our parents and our mom or whatever. My dad's older. He's turning 73 this year, and sometimes I do think like he's getting older, and if he passes, like what am I gonna feel? Because I know how I'm gonna feel when my mom goes.
Yeah, but your dad,
I don't know.
It's different.
It's different, and I want to know, I'd like to know that I kind of healed that part, and like you said, like kind of not had closure, but like at least we dealt with our bullshit, and like we kind of had like a fresh start, you know, like we were able to move forward, and I'm so glad that we're able to fix things, and things are much better. And he tells me that he loves me now. It took, because before he never really told me that he loved me until after that heart to heart. And then after that, every time we talk on the phone now, he tells me he loves me. But I hope that for any of our friends, if you guys have a strange like relationship with your parents, like if it can be healed, like it'll do a lot for your inner child. Like it did a lot for mine, because that hurt, that resentment, that anger, like building up inside, it's just like the person that it made me. I feel like I was a very angry person and alone and depressed. Like it didn't do me any good. So I hope that, you know, whoever has that estranged relationship with their parents, like I hope they're able to have some kind of closure. Even if they decide that it's better that they don't talk, like at least, you know, to have some kind of closure, because I think
some kind of healing,
like they're able to heal in some way, because I feel like it did a lot for me. It was almost like a weight off my shoulders after we had that heart to heart, when I told him that he wasn't gonna, and I'm so glad that I stood by my decision and told him that he was not gonna walk me down the aisle. And I feel like me like setting the boundary and like standing by it, I feel like that's what was needed.
Yeah.
Because I could have easily just been like, okay, you can walk me too. And then like...
But your relationship would have stayed the same.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you stood up and you're like, no, like, la persona que me crió fue mi madre. And that's who should be walking me down.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, like, sangre, you could be my dad, but at the end of the day, you weren't there.
Yeah. There were so many times that I needed him and he wasn't, but even now, you know, like we're still not like super close like I am with my mom.
But it's better.
But it's definitely better, and honestly, like my heart has healed in a lot of ways. And I've noticed it. I've noticed the difference, you know, compared to who I was even just a few years ago. So my heart goes out to those who have estranged relationships with their parents.
I can't even like fathom the idea, you know, of like that kind of heartbreak.
You're very fortunate.
Oh, believe me, bro. Every day le doy gracias a Dios por bendecirme con los padres que tengo, y que the relationship that I have with both of them. Because honestly, I don't think, like, a lot of people don't have that, you know? A lot of people don't have both of their parents, or, like, don't have no parents. Like, I'm very fortunate, and I don't take that for granted one day. And I wish you could have had the same thing, because it hurts me knowing that you went through all that, but, you know, it made you the person you are today, right?
Yeah.
I still wish it didn't happen, though.
Me neither.
Because I've heard the story, and I told Angel, every time she tells me this story, I always cry, because I can't imagine my dad not showing up for me. Like, I can't imagine that. Like, when you told me that, I can't, I feel like my heart, like, I don't know how it would be. Like, my heart would break in a million pieces if my dad wasn't there, you know? And to think that you actually went through that, like, fuck, man. Why you didn't tell me the story about the other one, though? You didn't. You hadn't told me the one that where he told you, where he laughed at you. Oh man, bro. Just keep in mind, my dad was always like, you could do it. You could be the president of the United States if you want to. You could be. You're more than this. You could, like. I would tell him, like, I want to be an astronaut. He'd be like, yeah, sure. Like, you can be anything you want. Like, so. And my mom was the same, you know, a little bit more of a realist, but she'd be like, you sure about that? Okay. But I can't imagine my parents laughing at my dreams, you know? They question, they sometimes worry about my crazy choices, but...
Honestly, I don't think I would have been able... I think my mom was just the rock in my life. And if it wasn't for who she is and how strong and that woman that woman has gone through so much.
Y lo que no les ha dicho.
Yeah, and the stuff she had, and there's a lot.
She's like a fucking vault.
She's a vault. But she's the rock in my life, and I don't know if I would have been able to get through shit if it wasn't for her and, like, the example that she set. And I know that, like, her parenting was a little different. Her parenting was a little, like, she was more cold, like, very, like, you can't trust nobody, you gotta, like, be there. But you know what? That is what I needed to get through what I needed to get through. That is who I needed to be to get through what I needed to get through. And, like, now, like, yes, I still have a lot of healing to do, but I don't think if I would have taken the example that my mom set, I think, let's just say, things would have gone a very different way.
Yeah. But the fact that you're able to acknowledge, like, my mom gave me this advice, like, this is gonna get me through this, but there's a certain time where you were like, shit, I have to change because that's not working anymore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that advice was only good for what I needed to get through at that moment.
And that's why you got it. That's exactly why you got it. Because you needed to get through that fucking hard ass, like, fuck.
There was a lot of things, I feel, growing up that I needed to be the way that I was to get through it. And I obviously, like, now, it doesn't work that way. And I feel like that's why it's taken a while for me to really, like, when we were having that conversation with Val of him peeling back the layers, you can't undo years of all of that, of me building up my wall, because it was self-preservation. I couldn't allow anybody to hurt me because my dad already hurt me.
The person that you most, like, the man that you most trusted.
Yeah, it's like the person who's supposed to love you and be there for you, and they broke my trust and broke my heart, and because of that, it was like, it just made me a very hard person and very cold and distant. And so I feel like that's why I never trusted people, and I would never allow anybody to make me feel the way my dad did. So it was self-preservation, and I feel like that's why maybe I didn't have a lot of friends. Maybe I don't know. It was just, that's what I needed to do. That's how I needed to be to get through that time. And, like, now as an adult and now being married, and I feel like it's been a journey, especially allowing Val to be able to, like, take care of me.
Because you're basically reteaching yourself.
Yeah. it's just, and I'm so grateful for Val for being patient with me.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for Val for being very, very patient with me and just peeling back the layers of, you know, everything, and just like undoing all the like undoing the hard exterior, and just being like allowing myself to be cared for, because I had only myself. I had my mom, but like through any hard situation or anything, like, you know, like I had to get myself through it because I didn't want to put extra stress on her. So it was kind of like I deal with my own shit. So very grateful for Val, my husband. If you're listening to this, I love you. Ya, nos tenemos que parar de chillar.
Fuck, man. That was intense.
That was very intense. And
that was intense, and that was you all, like, yeah, and me just crying, guys. Like, if you didn't hear me, if you're hearing us on Spotify and Apple, and you're like, where the fuck is Edith, guys? I was fucking crying in the background. I just, like, I like to have Angel just let it out and just tell you guys everything, because, I don't know, I feel like it heals you too.
Yeah. Talking about it feels good because I kept it in for so long. Yeah. I don't get to talk about it often, and now
it's everywhere.
Now it's on the internet and all our friends are hearing this.
But hopefully, like, this could help whoever is going through a similar experience as you. To help
Girl,
them.
I'm still laughing at you holding the mic.
It's looking real good over here, guys.
I'm so happy that the camera's off a little bit.
It's looking real good over here.
There's not a single episode where we don't have mic issues or something.
It's fuck, man.
I promise, guys, we're gonna get it together at some point.
Some point.
At some point, friends, we will get it together.
But yeah, I'm hoping whoever could relate to, you know, I know there's somebody out there that probably needed your story to kind of start their journey.
Yeah.
So
I hope if there's anybody out there that, you know, got something from this, I hope it helps you. And it's kind of weird just putting my heart on my sleeve like that, because I feel like a few years ago I would have not been able to do this and just share my story like this with a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
But whoever needed to listen to this, I hope you took something out of it, and I hope it helps you in any way.
I'm manifesting that this is getting to the right people.
Me too.
That need to hear this. 'Cause, yeah. Damn.
All right, ya nos tenemos que, yeah, we need to stop. We need to stop crying. I'm fucking dead, dude. This.
Fucking can't.
All right. This is going to be a little bit of a longer episode. I'm so sorry, guys. But
so if you're still listening, you're a trooper.
Excuse me, I just burped.
Or maybe you were crying with us.
Yeah, maybe you were crying with us.
Take a picture, send
it to us. Tag us. Let us know in the comments if you cried.
A ver si andaban de chillonas.
I know, you're like, ¿estas chillonas? You know what? Letting it out is very healing.
Yeah, it is.
So anyways, my friends, we will let you go now. Mm-hmm. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. And
don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.
Yes. Oh my God, we didn't even say that last episode.
Yeah, we didn't. Take a picture if you're crying. Tag us.
Oh, I'm so happy that the camera's off because I'm a mess right now. Yeah. But yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on IG. And yes, guys, let us know. I don't know. Comment something below. Let us know what was your favorite part or something.
Your thoughts.
Your thoughts. Your feelings, if you can relate.
Pero ahí los dejamos, guys.
Ahí los dejamos. Besitos. Bendiciones.
Besitos. I was
gonna do the peace sign too.
Yeah, but there's no camera.
There's no camera.
So, all right.
Adios,
See you guys
friends.
next episode. Bye.